20 plus book recommendations, answering newbie Booktube book tag questions. Hello readers, my name is Francesca and welcome to my corner of Booktube. Let's jump right into it. First Booktube book tag question is, what genre do you gravitate towards the most? Nonfiction categories, I gravitate towards mostly philosophy and traditional self-help. A few that I have in my physical collection are here. This first one is the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. And then I have 2 other ones, which is the 5 Levels of Attachment, and this is The Mastery of Love. Another author that I really do enjoy is Ryan Holiday. This is Stillness is the Key. I would also recommend Nicole LaPera's How to Do the Work. I've been reading that and journaling with the book digitally, which has been a really rewarding experience throughout the whole book. Fiction genres I gravitate towards would be mostly literary fiction and magical realism. A couple of great ones that I have read recently to recommend would be The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is probably the best book that I've read this year, probably will be the best book I have read this year. Masters of Death by Olivia Blake, also a 5-star read for me this year. This one I don't have physically, but Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers. That was fantastic. That one was very similar to Normal People by Sally Rooney. All of these books are fairly similar in the sense where they have prominent themes of self-discovery with existential undertones about individual happiness. Overall, I really enjoy this genre for the impact that each book has had on me after I finished reading it. As for magical realism, I would recommend, honestly, anything by Ashley Poston. I do not have it, but I did read The Dead Romantics last fall. Absolutely loved that book. I read a novel love story by her when it came out this summer. Another great read. And The 7-Year Slip is on my TBR, and I'm very excited about that. I would also recommend Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one is, I would think, one of the less popular ones, but it was a great concept for our FMC. Her life splits between 2 storylines based on decisions that she does or does not make one night while she is out with friends. It kind of splits the storyline and you follow both outcomes based off of how that night went for her. It was just a really wonderful, wholesome story about how decisions, whatever you decide to do, can change the outcome in the course of your life. And of course, I have to mention the King of Horror, Stephen King himself. And although he is the king of horror, I do feel like a lot of his books fall under the magical realism realm. For instance, Christine, or I'll put the other one up, Thinner. Both mildly creepy, I guess you could say. I wouldn't consider either of these true horror. Stephen King always has a way of entrancing the reader into each story that he spins, which is a great ambiance for something pretty magical. Recommend this one, Thinner, and 11/22/63. Next question is the inverse. What genres do you read the least? I currently read the least historical fiction and science fiction. Within those, I can recommend what's currently on my TBR, as I would like to try and read more of both of those genres. Historical fiction, I'm excited to read My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. For science fiction, I'm excited to read really anything by Andy Weir. I've heard great things. This is my physical copy of Artemis, but I would be just as equally happy to try Project Hail Mary or The Martian by him as well. Let's just get like all of these back up here somehow. Beautiful, look at all those colors. Okay, the third question is my own addition because it needs to be discussed. What is your book candy genre? Fantasy. Fantasy, romance, and horror. I feel like I don't have to explain. You readers intuitively know what I mean by book candy. I know you do. We all have our own genres that we chew right through, only to find ourselves back at Barnes searching frantically for the next fix. Number 4, what books got you into reading? I mean, this is where it all started, folks. I know I'm not alone, but this is where it all began. What can I say? But a few honorable mentions would be, I had to kind of like search my brain and then also Google this because I kind of forgot, but Ellen Hopkins, the Crank series. I don't know why anyone let me read that as a young teenager. And then basically anything by Lori Hale Anderson, like Speak, Winter Girls, Twisted, etc. That was like my era of cool girl reader girl in like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. 5th question. What is the book that you are telling everyone is your favorite right now? The Humans by Matt Haig. I discovered Matt Haig at the beginning of the year, like I said, and I can confidently say that he's been the most influential to my reading journey so far this year. The Humans is a literary fiction novel following an alien from... You would think that this is like not my favorite book, like I've never even read it before, but I have read it. I even annotated it. Anyways. The Humans is a literary fiction novel that follows an alien from a superior planet tasked with the job of destroying a critical scientific discovery that Earth has just made. You get his first-person account written as scientific observations on humanity and its people. The writing is full of satire and wit, exploring themes of belonging, loneliness, family, and just what it means to be happy. Overall, this was a really fantastic read and was very thought-provoking, way more character-driven, obviously, as you're following this scientist alien who is trying to basically unravel the biggest question that he has come upon. Who are humans and why and what makes them human? That right on top. Okay. 6. What is the book you reread the most or reread the most? I don't currently reread books very often, but the one book that I have found myself rereading either for reference or maybe listening to it on audiobook is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a very digestible and direct self-help book on how to effectively do what you set out to do, which I feel like is very relatable to all aspects and all areas of life, which is why I find myself coming back to it, because there's just a lot of really good, simple, but effective information. Going back to it time and time again has been really helpful for me when I'm struggling to either create a good habit or break a bad one. I highly recommend it for anyone who's interested in self-improvement. Next is, what is a book that everyone else loved that you didn't? I would say that Daisy Jones and the Six just really didn't do it for me. I thought that it was a fun and clever period piece, but I found myself waiting for anything plot or character driven to happen throughout the book. Again, it gave a great 60s to 70s vibe, very rock and roll, very cool. But I just felt like I was missing something to happen, and then the twist at the end was just kind of like, was that it? Was it a twist? Did it need to have a twist? Not really, but what happened? I don't know. 3 out of 5. The following question is the inverse again. What is the book that you loved that everyone else did not? I went to Goodreads to find what I rated significantly higher than the average rating, and what I found, oh boy. This was a bad idea. Whoop. Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. I gave this 5 out of 5. Goodreads average is 3.7. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. I am not exaggerating when I said that I was probably 50% of the way through this book and still wasn't sure what it was about exactly, yet still found myself picking it back up and then not being able to put it back down. I was laughing along with the characters. I really liked the complexity of the concept of the plot, but then also the complexity of the characters. It just gave me like a very good, you just got wrapped up in it. Just the detail of every character, it was It was almost nonsensical, but in a pertinent kind of way. You almost didn't need any of the information, but you wanted it nonetheless because it just made that story feel like it was right there with you. I'm not even explaining what it's about. All I can say is gods, demigods, death himself, vampires, demons, and a 300-year-old mortal. Lots of dialogue, secrets, and a showdown to pin them all together. Truly quality. 9th question is, what book did you read the fastest? I read about like 4 books a month, so like a book a week. And I went through this whole entire series in a weekend. I love The Folk of the Air. I wish I had more of this. Take it out. Oh, God. Box sets are good, but what the hell? Okay. The first book, The Cruel Prince, introduces Jude, our main character, a human living in the Fey world among strange and cruel creatures. It follows her and her sisters and their badassery through this world full of lies, death, deceit. We get a little romance. We get a lot of political back-channeling. We get ragtag crews. We get found family. It's a very enjoyable, very bingeable series, and I highly recommend it. The series as a whole, 5 stars. And such an easy read. I mean, just like the chapter covers and everything are just, they're so cute, and the words on the pages, it's YA, so it's like very YA, but like it's quality YA. What books are appropriately hyped? The Crowns of Nyaxia series. I think that is a fantastic series that really does this whole fantasy romance genre justice. The storyline, character development, romance dynamic, plot progression are all top-notch in my opinion. This series is described as Vampires meets Hunger Games, which it is, but also so much more. And I say all of this to you without the physical copies because I did read it on Kindle. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, so highly recommend and definitely hype worthy. And you guessed it, next question is, what books deserve more hype? Any book by Matt Haig. I plan to read all of the rest of his books, except one. There's one that I'm like, I don't think so. But these deserve more hype. Our stack here is getting a little risky. There we go, looks better. 12. What book do you wish that you could reread for the first time? No. What book do you wish that you could read again for the first time? The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I read this in high school. It was such a magical book at the most magical time for me. I do wish that I could experience all of the magic and themes and motifs in this and analyze them all over again and discover them all over again for the first time. Next is recommendations to get out of a reading slump. I do feel like everybody's book choice for getting out of a reading slump will differ, just based off of different tastes, obviously, so I can't really recommend a book specifically, but I would like to recommend qualifications for the book slump cure. The book or books should be medium length, whatever your mid-length is for comfortability of reading. It should have short chapters, and I'm talking like 5 or 6 pages max, so that you can get your brain to feel like it's accomplishing something with each chapter. And it should also be a book in your gravitational genre, as we discussed earlier. So what genre do you like reading the most? And finally, it should also be available to you on audiobook. I find that when I can either tandem read and listen or just switch between reading and listening, there's enough variation to push me through a book slump there. Recap: mid-length, short chapters, interesting topic, available on audiobook in case you need someone to read it to you. Second to last question. What is a book that everyone should read? The book is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. It is a collection of essays or questions that the author explores. It's another impactful read as it really helped me clarify my perspective on difficult aspects of my life or changes that I know I needed to make. I think everyone could really benefit from reading this book as at any given time you can be going through a number of difficult things, and taking time to step back and change your perspective or find tangible tools to be able to move forward during that is integral to success with those things. And this book really helped me do that. Finally, the last question is, what should you read that is outside your comfort zone? Again, this is a prompt that I don't think I can put a single book on because everyone's comfort zone is going to be different. So my answer to this is read something that you do not identify with. Read something that doesn't immediately seem to represent your past, present, or future. Read something you know little to nothing about. Read something that allows you to experience infinite lives within your own single one. That's it. That's all I have today. Please comment a bookish emoji so I know that I have managed to keep some of you engaged till the end of the video. Look out for my next video coming next Saturday. Bye, readers.